So one of the things I have to do to complete my little workbench rehab is to make another wood face for this vise. So this wood needs to be like super tough, because I worked the thing pretty hard, and I think I have these fence boards. I'm gonna run them through the planer and see what we got. So not everybody makes fences out of some sort of imported hardwood. But I hit the mother load one day. I loaded up a load of fence boards in my truck, and every single one of them is hardwood, and they're all different, and none of them look like anything I've ever seen before. They're really pretty, and man, they're hard, and I've been using these a little bit at a time for lots of years. So I'm going to use this stuff to make my new vise block. I don't know what vise face. I'm not sure what the terminology should be. So this is my plan. I'm gonna glue this and this together. This in the middle. This will be my dog. Get it up snug, and I think the tape will help me get it out. And this will be the other side. So this will be my vise. I'm gonna put it over here and put it on some paper because I don't want to mess up my new table. Put some glue on it. Find a better block. Using epoxy on this one, because it just makes me feel better. There's no reason that yellow glue shouldn't hold. If I had to guess, I would say this wood is from the mahogany family, but there are lots of different kinds of mahoganies. This will be challenging because it's going to want to squirt around when I try to clamp it. Got a little bit ahead of myself here with the clamps. Okay, that was the easy part. Now the more challenging part. Remember the last video where I was bragging on my clamp being a good one? Well, it's not that good. I guess what I meant by good was I haven't been able to break the thing. But if I put a block of wood in here, it doesn't touch at the top like it should. The crack is wider over here than over here, which is not right. The problem being, well, there's two problems. One is this casting, although I have it, can you see that? This casting that I bolted to the bottom of the table, although I got the edge straight, the bottom part of it sticks out. It's like cattywampus. It's not straight. I could grind it flat, or I can just shave a little bit off the wood, which I will do. That'll take care of that problem. And then the second problem is that even though I have this straight, the whole thing's twisted a little bit. So I think I could solve that by loosening the bolts a little bit, the lag bolts. I think there's that much play in them. But you can't get to the bolts with the slides. You got to take it out. I guess I'll just loosen them. Maybe I'll just hit it with a hammer and see if it'll move. And then the third thing is, every bench vise ever made in the history of man has a slot right here, and you put a little bolt or something into the bench dog so that you can raise it and lower it. This is the only vise ever made ever that doesn't have that slot, and it's steel. Most of them are cast iron, so I'm hesitant to cut a slot, so I think I'm gonna make do with a little bitty divot right at the top, just something I can put a pin in the dog and be able to get it up. So I got these three issues to work out. The first one I don't think will be hard. I just need to cut a bevel on the bottom of my block. I tilted the blade about 2.5 degrees, and I think that's going to be pretty close. Okay, I have a guide block and I have a sharp router bit, so maybe this will work easily. Yes, very good. So the harder the wood, the more important the pre-drilling is to get the screws to go in. And even though I pre-drilled and waxed the screws, that's red wax you see on that old paintbrush. Still broke one of them off, but I got 3 good ones in there. And since when you're using it, it's under compression anyway, we're good with that. Okay. All right, this is fine. So this piece started out as a rip off of one of the original pieces, so it was the same thickness. I just ran it through the sander just one time just to get me a little relief, and I planed the edges a couple of times. I think it's going to be a good fit. I'm going to put a little wax on it. want it snug. I don't want it to jam. But I think when I ease the corners and put a little wax on it, it's going to be just right. So now I need to put a little screw in there to be able to lift it up and down and cut it to length. Okay, we're calling this end of the table finished. I got my little dog. I used a brass screw and I put some wax on it, and it's like pretty dang good. I used a brass screw in case I ever hit it with a router, but that was kind of silly because this is all steel right below it. But anyway, the quick release works. Lines out pretty good. That's about as good as it gets around here. That looks good. Now we're going to go to the other end of the table and address big boy vise here. It's been out in the rain for a couple of years, so I think the first thing I'll do is take it apart and kind of clean it up. This is my least favorite tool ever, a wire wheel on a little 4.5 inch grinder. They throw those little wires out, they're deadly. This vise was found in a trash pile by one of my worker bees on a job in New Orleans. Uptown, where the big fancy houses are. On the side of the road. When I talked him out of it, it was a big ball of rust. It was totally frozen. I feel kind of guilty about talking him out of it, but he probably would have never fixed it. So I cleaned it up and got it working. And I had it in the foundry. And then I got a better table than the one that it's bolted to, so I moved it outside. And once or twice I'd go out there and spray oil on it, but it really never got used. So I just cleaned it up again. It just had surface rust. It was still functioning. Spraying it with lacquer because I like the look. And the lacquer dries. We put some oil on the screw, thread, the big Acme thread that it has. We'll put it back together. Okay, this is where I would like the vise to sit. The fixed jaw is plumb from the wood, so the wood could help hold the big pieces. And if I put a straight edge across it, I got it lined up with the edge of the table pretty well. So now I need to work on my super duper quick connect vise mounting system. So after a lot of head scratching and looking at a bajillion pictures on the internet, whoop. Okay, so after a lot of head scratching and a lot of hours on the internet looking for ideas, I think I've come up with the perfect solution to be able to mount my vise, have it rigid, and have it easy to come off and on, and quick to come off and on. So for one thing, I can store it under here and grab it. Now I just greased the thread and I waxed the thing, and it works just like brand new. Again, and then we got these two special things that go through here, and you got a special thing that goes under the bottom. There's one. Another one goes on this side. And then you got this special tool that I just dropped on the ground. You got this special tool that fits on there, and you give it like a half a turn, and that's it. That's done. It is so it is what I think is the best compromise between being easy to put off and on without being too cumbersome and being really rigid. I don't think there's a better solution out there.